All right. First live. I got to make sure it's working first. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. Awesome. It's actually working. All right. What's up, everybody? So, my name is John Sintich. If you're not aware, I am a realtor in the south suburbs of Chicago. And today I'm going to go live, and this is my first one. And so give me some leeway here. Basically, I just wanted to hop on here with a strategic partner who's an amazing industry leader. Basically, we're going to update you on what's happening in the real estate market in the Chicagoland area. There's a lot of information being spread around right now that you might be seeing in the news, a lot of salacious headlines, a lot of misleading headlines. So our goal today is to give you guys some information, arm you with information so that you can make the most confident and powerful home buying and home selling decisions, especially in a market where there's a lot of uncertainty. And so we just want to make sure you guys are all abreast of what's going on and just have clarification on everything. And so I'm actually going to welcome on someone that I started working with right around the beginning of this year. His name is Jimmy Weber. He is the VP of sales with Midwest Equity Mortgage. And basically he's been in the business for over 8 years. And last year he did over 200 loans, which I know I'm probably going to butcher this stat, but I'm pretty sure the average mortgage broker does like 18 to 30 loans per year. And so just to give you some context, Jimmy's doing this at a really, really high level. And he has helped a ton of my clients just already this year, getting into homes in a crazy seller's market and now helping buyers navigate this higher interest rate market. And so without further ado, I'm just going to bring Jimmy in here and make sure.
What's up, everybody? Thanks so much, John. Appreciate the kind words.
You're in. All right. Awesome. How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. How are you? Ready to talk some real estate?
Yes. Thanks for coming on. This is our first one. We've worked out the kinks a little bit, so I think so far it's gone off without a hitch. I got you in here without fail. So
yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it would be good if we can just kind of talk about the stats of what's going on in the real estate market. We're going to do Cook County today. And just educate people on what's going on in Cook County. And then I thought me and you could just talk about those stats a little bit and then kind of get your insight on what's going on with interest rates, because that's really what a lot of people want to hear right now, and how they can even succeed. Can they afford to buy a house? You know, what the heck's going on with the monthly payment, the affordability there, things like that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, everyone's saying this is such a crazy market. I don't know if I'd necessarily define it as a crazy market, but what it is certainly different than what it has been the last 2 years.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just if you think about the last 2 years, you know, you could hammer a for sale sign in a front yard and that house is going to sell in a day. You know, It was just absolutely insane. And we just dealt with a lot of hurdles helping buyers earlier this year, you know, just getting them to get an offer accepted on a property, you know, let alone can they afford a property, or how do they go about the whole process? It was just changing the strategy to even just get them an offer accepted on a house.
Exactly. And right now, the numbers might not suggest it's necessarily a buyer's market because of inventory being so low, but nearly everything else does. The one thing that's holding people back is affordability, and that's what we'll chat about once we get into rates a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you have already some solutions that you're going to discuss with that as well, but I think I'll just share my screen and we'll just go over the stats of what happened in Cook County in the month of October, because we just got that data in. And so all that's in, so we can just I can read the stats off and we can just talk about them.
Let's do it.
All right, awesome. So this is the first test. Can I share the screen and do it successfully? Let's see here. Screen layout, present. Here we go. Share screen. And then we'll do, bear with me. Cook County. Okay, got it. All right. You seeing this, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. So We got Cook County in the month of October. And so you can see here right off the bat, like the change in new listings, it's down about just under 22% from the same time last year. And then we're actually down 31% in closed sales. So actually getting from under contract to the closing table where the property actually changes hands, that's down 31% from the same time last year. And then you can see here an overall change in inventory. It's down 16.2%. And so I just want to juxtapose this stat to, now I got to change the screen. I want to show this headline to kind of give some context to what people who might be watching are seeing on the news.
All kinds of headlines.
Yeah.
Very misleading.
Yeah. And so this one in particular from Forbes, a major lending or a major investment institution in our country, it shows like housing inventory price picks up speed at a record pace. And so what does that mean? If you don't have time to read that article, what does that mean? Oh, inventory picks up. Does that mean that prices are going to come way down? Because that's where my mind goes as a buyer. That's where my mind kind of goes. Oh, the inventory is going down, so I'm just going to be able to get a deal on a house right now, right?
That's where your supply and demand economics, simply said, would come into play. That's what you'd think.
Yeah, and then when you get into the actual data, which I'll reshare again, I know there's a smoother way to do this, and I'll get better at it as
we're getting the hang of it.
More of these. But yeah, like what about a 16% decrease in total inventory of available homes says that, oh, we're heading into a higher inventory market where you're going to have tons of availability of available homes and prices are going to come down. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I think what is really needs to be hammered home is the fact that every market is different. All these fluffed up markets out west, like Seattle, San Fran, even Phoenix, Scottsdale area, some of those places where people were purchasing second homes because they no longer had to live in their respective cities. Those markets are a lot different than Chicago and Chicagoland, Cook County, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. I think I made a video on it a few weeks ago, actually, about the top 5 markets that are cooling off the fastest. So like Seattle's one of them, Las Vegas is one of them as well. A lot of these. Yeah. And I know you know a lot about the markets out in the West,
right? You're
seeing these markets where property really just kind of got out of control with regard to the appreciation.
Right.
And those are coming down a ton, and sellers are having to get more realistic where they might have thought they could get $1.2 million for their home. And realistically now they're having to price it around like maybe 800,000 or 900,000. And so you're seeing prices drop from 1.2 or 1.4 million down to 900,000. It's like, well, no, that these prices are dropping from a seller's listing price, right?
Exactly.
They're having to readjust their listing price to get buyers because the affordability has gone down. We're not seeing the value of their home in 2022 go below where it was in 2021 necessarily.
Exactly. The appreciation rate that some of those markets experienced is just out of this world, unprecedented.
Yeah.
But losing 10% on a $2 million listing is a lot different than losing 2% on a $200,000 listing.
Right. Absolutely. You're completely spot on with that. And just to hammer back home on your point about just all markets are different. We're looking at Cook County here, to go down to median sales price in October, it's up 4.6% from the same time last year. And the trailing 12 months, so over the last 12 months, the median sales price has gone up 3.1%.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to look at the numbers. The numbers are telling you that median sales price is still going up. Why is that? I thought housing inventory was picking up speed at a record pace. Well, let's check out your market, right?
Yeah. Your specific market. How do we help you navigate your home buying process where you live? Stop looking at headlines that are talking about New York City condos.
Yeah, exactly. Because I, as a buyer, I'd be really frustrated to read that headline. Hey, housing inventory picks up at a record pace, but I'm still going out and I'm seeing properties get listed for these prices, and I'm like, well, this is what it was. This is similar to where things were listed 6 months ago. Why am I not getting that deal? and I'm waiting to get that deal. All the while, interest rates are going up, affordability is going down, and that price point of that house is not going down, you know?
Absolutely. And there was reports in March 2020 when COVID was starting to ramp up, and CNBC was saying it was the worst time in American history to purchase a home.
Yeah.
If someone didn't purchase a home like right at that point, and somebody else did, that second person got 150% on their investment in just 2 years. Absolutely insane.
That's such a good point. I mean, just juxtaposing the news headline with what's actually happening, and now you take the news headline would be, if you waited 2 years to buy a house, you lost, and now it's a terrible time to buy.
Exactly. They can't take that back. It's already been said.
Right. And so it's like, it's always just, what's that news headline? Maybe it is true. Maybe if we open and read more about that in that article, yeah, maybe inventory is going up at record paces in some of these other markets, but you have to take your market into consideration. Real estate is a hyper local, I don't want to say game, but it's a hyper local concept, and different things apply to your market versus some other market that might be hyper inflated over the last 2 years.
Absolutely. I know some of those numbers, speaking of hyperinflation with builders, right? We're not going to run out of land to build on in the United States of America. But a lot of people are struggling still with supply chain issues and price. But I just had a client that went under contract to purchase a new home in a community in Florida. And he said it's like a factory. People are walking into the office, signing their name on the dotted line and purchasing these new builds. They're just going off like an assembly line.
Yeah.
Right. So, we're hammering this point, but your market needs to be navigated with someone like John, right? You need to look at the specifics and not just stick to those headlines.
Yeah, definitely. And then just to touch on a few more stats before we get into kind of some of the solutions here that we're able to help our clients with. If you want to look here at average days on market, where are we? Oh, here we go. Okay, because this is something I really want to touch on for a minute. So average days on market in October of 2022 was 50 days of a detached single family home. So that means properties, went on the market, and it took about 50 days for them to get put under contract. That is up from 41 days at the same time last year. And over the last 12 months, the time on market, you can see here, it's actually gone down 13.5%.
Right.
And that's, so I think just to give some context there, some months when like we had last week, interest rates went down to 6.25 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was like almost a full point difference. You're going to see properties sell faster in those like short time frames where interest rates go down, and it's going to bring your average days on market down. Overall, it's kind of interesting to see, like, as rates started to go up, the days on market started to go up, but it's kind of stabilized, and it's really not going through the roof. Like we were predicting like 60 days on market around this time. Like a few months ago, we were saying, 60 to 90 days on market is going to be close to average, and we're still not there yet. We're still under 60 days of average days on market.
It's impossible to time the market, whether it's housing or the stock market, right? I mean, we can agree on that.
Absolutely.
If you're looking at the Dow Jones over the past 100 years or whatever metrics you want to look at, let's say out of the 365 days of the year, 15 were the best of that year. If you're out of the market for those 15, your portfolio is going to look a hell of a lot different than it would have had you just kept your money there. Now, that's not directly with housing, of course, a direct correlation, but it's kind of giving the same point in which when it's time to buy for you, that's when you have to get the professionals like John and I involved so that we can try and guide you. We're not sitting here saying that we're the heroes. And frankly, as a home buyer, you're the hero. We're the guides.
Right. Exactly. 100%. So let's try to, we've been talking a lot, just giving information. Why don't we talk about just what solutions are we actually bringing to the table to help our clients succeed, especially now when interest rates are fluctuating or going up overall, but like fluctuating between 6 and 7%, almost getting up to 8%, where we think it might be going, and just kind of some.
Well, it's a great question. Everyone has it, right? And we don't know where rates are going to be. No one has the crystal ball. We
Right.
did just turn a corner with a real nice core consumer price index inflationary report, which you and I have spoken about, and that's why those rates popped out in last week.
Yeah.
Now, if we can get the December report to show better numbers for November, which would replace November of 2021's inflation numbers, those rates are only going to improve. However, the core CPI doesn't take into effect food and energy, so things like Russia, Ukraine, or natural disasters. So with that being said, even if inflation gets a lot better, we don't know what's going to happen to rates. Assuming nothing bad happens, rates are going to get lower in 2023. How much lower, we don't know. But in my opinion, there's my top 5 reasons to buy right now. And that's because these rates are a little bit higher. You have a lesser buyer pool.
Yeah.
Right. So you're up less competition, which leads to the next point of no more overbidding. People in, especially these fluffed up markets we talked about a couple minutes ago, you're going 50, 100, 200K over your ask to get that price.
Right.
To get that price accepted. Not to mention you're releasing every single contingency. Your financing, your appraisal, your inspection. You're buying homes sight unseen, which is a crazy thing to do now, looking back, right?
Yeah.
That leads to a better selection of homes.
It does.
And frankly, too, man, if you're going to wait for rates and prices to drop, you're going to get right back to that seller's market.
I know.
So do you want to be in the position right now as a buyer where you don't have as much competition and you have that flexibility? Or do you want to be up against 19 other buyers, some of course being cash?
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because something we've talked about off air too. It's what do we see when and I've told you this, I'm like, what if rates get to 10%? It's very plausible. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. We don't know,
But-
man. We have Fannie Mae showing 4.5, Barry Habib showing 4.5, and we have Goldman Sachs saying 10 for next year. We don't know.
Yeah. But it's like, if let's say rates get up to 10, but then inventory stays where it is, because then we're in kind of a real estate cold war, which I think we're in right now. I've heard someone call it that, and I thought it was brilliant. We have buyers that a lot of buyers are stepping away from the market, but you have a lot of buyers that have opportunity there. But then you also have sellers that are locked in at 2.5%, 3% interest. Heck, some people are under 2%. They're not going to sell unless they have to, because they don't want to go buy something at 7% when they're locked in at 3%.
Exactly.
So you have
exactly. I mean, remember, inflation hits you everywhere from your milk gallon to your mortgage rate.
Yeah.
And you and I have said this many times, man. I mean, we've harped on it. Your mortgage and your real estate in general, your portfolio is an inflation buster type of product. That same 3%, they don't want to sell, because if rates go to 15%, which is implausible, but you're still paying at 3%, right?
Right.
That's not going to change. So the main thing that I've been doing for nearly all of my clients going under contract, and John and I have had some great success doing this. I'm going to share my screen really quick here, is a seller paid buy down. So this is a real life example of a client that was purchasing a new build in Mount Greenwood. Our builders were listing at 650K market rate at the time, a little bit lower right now, but this is from an analysis I created before, at 6.99%.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a couple of offers come through at 630, of course, 20K under list. You'll see there that the payment is about $150 less than it would have been had you gone at 650. So of course that helps the buyer, but it doesn't help our seller, right? Because then he is netting less money.
Correct.
So what we come in and do is a seller paid buy down, whether that's permanent or temporary. And there's going to be some questions on this, I hope, and contact John or I to discuss this.
Yeah.
But in lieu of dropping the price to 630, market it at 650 with a 15K credit to purchase the interest rate either permanently down to 599 or temporarily in that last column 4.875. You can see that the monthly payment is significantly lower. So the buyer benefits greatly from that standpoint. And the seller benefits because his net sheet is increased 5K more than it would have been taking a 630K offer.
Correct. That's just one solution there, that where you're taking the market, which is we have no control over, high interest rates,
right?
Inventory, which we have no control over, and you're helping the buyer and the seller both achieve their goal.
Exactly.
Not
to mention your neighbors are going to like you, because this is a good comparable sale at 650 rather than 630.
Right. Exactly. And these are the kind of creative solutions that simply, side note here, I was at a concert last night with one of our former clients.
Yep.
And I told him, hey, I'm actually going to hop on with Jimmy tomorrow. He's like, well, tell this story while you're on. This guy worked for Chase Bank for years, and he had plenty of, mortgage colleagues that he could go to. And he's like, it was a no-brainer to go with a mortgage broker. And it just so happened to be you, Jimmy, that offered him flexible options and flexible solutions to help him get into a home during it was still a pretty crazy seller's market at the time. Yeah. But just the fact that like he went away from his own institution to go with a mortgage broker, and it just shows that like going with a mortgage broker, there's no better way to get more flexible solutions to your problem of whether it's how do I afford this monthly payment? How can I bring this monthly payment down? How can I find a seller that will take my offer? Right. There's so many different obstacles that you're helping our clients get through with all these different options and programs that you have available to offer them.
Right. And I think that, and one of the things our client said, that the communication and service he received from us would have been better, was better than what he would have received from his employer, Chase, at the time.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's a little bit cheesy to sell customer service and speed and things like that in this market, because everyone should be doing that. Yeah. But if I can sell my value with that as a cherry on top, I will. And I know you do the same thing.
Right. Well, Jimmy, I mean, you don't have to sell yourself. I'll sell you.
Yeah, you do a great job of referring people. And anyone in the market to buy a home, hit up John. This guy's the best.
Yeah, appreciate it. But honestly though, earlier this year, it was just hard to get a buyer to get an offer accepted. You'd write 2-3 offers on a house, on different homes to get a buyer under contract. But I had a partner in you to help me get the deal accepted. Like I never worked with someone like that before, who was calling me and saying, hey, what's going on with the offer? Like usually I was working with people that would come in after the offer was under contract to be like, yeah, let's start working on the loan. Like, no, Jimmy actually pairs up with me and communicates with the listing agent to make sure that we're expressing your strength as a buyer to the listing agent, which is something that is completely underestimated, especially in a seller's market when you have multiple buyers bidding on the same property in which you're bidding. And having someone like Jimmy who's going to pick up the phone, be proactive, and make sure that we get our offer accepted it's actually pretty rare amongst mortgage brokers. So it was just really nice. That's why I was like, oh, Jimmy's the guy. Like I have to.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And obviously, like you said, I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Just over 8 years. I've never worked with a real estate agent that has the communication skills that you do and the professionalism. So when we offer as a team, it's not just one of us doing that on behalf of our client. It is truly us going in together and trying to differentiate that offer in any way possible to get that thing accepted.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. And it's something I never understood getting into the business, but after being in the business for a little while and learning what works and what doesn't, it was such a valuable addition to essentially we're my team. You're on my team. I'm on your team. We are, exactly. However you want to phrase it. But like when you choose to work with someone like myself, you're working with, obviously I'm not going to force you to use Jimmy, but someone that is on my team that has a proven track record of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I have a guy that knows how to get things done. And I know he's going to get the job. He's done it many, many times for me already. So it's just in one of our most recent clients, like getting her under contract, like going through all these different hurdles with her situation and using a buy down, exactly the thing an example you just said. It's something we've actually done together. It's like
a lot of people in today's market are speaking about these buy downs, and they might not be speaking from experience. I'm not putting anyone down, but we have done that together multiple times when we have the evidence to prove it. Yeah. It works. It gets people into more affordable home loans.
Yeah. And that's exactly what our goal is here. It's get you into a home that you want to live in. Because I've been harping on in some of my video content recently about the marry the house, date the rate.
Right.
On a thing that gets tossed out there. And my initial reaction to that is like, that sounds like BS to me. It's just like it's a sales sentence. But really the message of it, actually, I agree with. It's buy the house at the lower price point, because it's going to be lower now than it's going to be next year or over the next 5 years. It's going to be lower now. So buy now if it's a home you can see yourself living in, and you can afford the monthly payment now, because you can always refinance. Yes, when rates come down, it's when our rate's going to come back down. We don't know for sure if they're going to come back down next year.
Right. We don't.
Sure monthly payment works for you now, and then you'll be even happier when you can refinance to a lower rate. But make sure it's comfortable now. And that's something you're so good at, is going over these cost analysis with our clients before they make an offer. What you just pulled up a few minutes ago, you're going over that with them, whether it's live on the phone or making a video and explaining it in detail. Hey, this is what your monthly payment's going to be at this price point with this buy down or without the buy down, or if you put this much money down, or if you put less money down. You have all these things laid out for them, so they know exactly what to expect. And that is such a huge value when you're navigating the home buying process, because the worst thing you can imagine is like writing the offer and then realizing your monthly payment's a little out of your comfort zone, right?
Right. And that's huge, John, because frankly, selling value and having that in your repertoire is so much bigger and better than selling price. I'm sorry, than rate or price. Advice over price is a mantra that I've been living by, basically since I started. We sell payment, right? We don't sell rate. And that's not even right. We sell strategies to get our home buyers into their homes. In 6 months from now, there's a really good chance you'll be able to refi. But if you don't, what are you going to remember? Your monthly payment or your mortgage rate? What stands out more, the payment that comes out of your bank account or the mortgage statement that goes to your email? Because no one gets mail anymore.
Yeah, man. That's all it is. You just hit it perfectly on the head. I know my rate because I bought 3 years ago, and I'm a real estate.
You should know your rate. I'm not saying that, but like the common person, you have an automatic payment coming out of your checking account. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Is that affordable or not?
In 5-10 years, I might not remember my rate. I'm just saying bias, but if I wasn't in real estate, I probably wouldn't know what my rate is exactly, right? I know it's in the high 3s somewhere. I know for a fact that, is it, but I just care about my monthly payment. That's all I care about as a homeowner.
That's I don't want to dumb it down and say that's all it is, but it's about as close as it gets.
Well, you're not even like, look at the price. Okay. Look at the price of the home.
Mm-hmm.
When you're shopping, that's what you're looking at. But really, like, what you might be better to look at is the monthly payment. Like, you're not buying the house at $300,000. You're buying the house at $2,000 a month price, monthly payment, or whatever that monthly payment is going to be.
Exactly. Real estate's a long play. If you're buying this as a primary residence and you're planning to stay anywhere longer than 3 to 5 years, this is a great time to buy. If you're an investor and you're flipping homes, maybe not as much, but again, your strategy and your scenario might be different than others.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Well, I think right now we're at 28 minutes. It might be good to wrap up, but I think that we should, if we've had like 4 or 5 viewers consistently the entire time, which is 4 or 5 more than I thought we would even have. We're going to record this and then for people to watch. But if you watch this and you found value from it, we really appreciate you watching it. Leave a comment and ask what you would like us to talk about, because we're going to try to do these, once a month moving forward at least. So if there's certain things you'd like us to speak about, whether it be how much money do I need to put down on a house? How do I buy a house?
Right.
What's a mortgage? Like, as simple as if it's as simple as that, like, we would be more than happy to talk more about it, because we've talked about a lot of stuff today. And maybe you want to just learn more about interest rates, or you want to learn more about what markets you might want to look in versus others. We're going to look to talk more about this stuff in the future. So leave a comment in the comments if you want something specific discussed.
My closing thoughts, I think you just nailed all of that, John. I could talk about inflation and mortgage rates for a half hour, which we just talked about everything else that we wanted to speak about for half an hour. So again, if anyone has anything specific they'd like to touch on, let us know. We'll knock it out.
Absolutely. Jimmy, I really appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to doing this again, and we will talk soon.
Sounds good, man. Great job. I'll talk to you soon.
Likewise. See ya.
Bye.